Before I ever knew what Black Christmas was, when I just knew the name or I knew the poster, I always thought that it was I always thought that it was a black movie, right? All black cast, okay, killer on the loose, people getting sliced and diced. I'm on board. But years down the line, imagine the surprise when I put it on my TV and I don't see any coloreds. Black Christmas is a 1974 Canadian slasher film produced and directed by Bob Clark, aka the man who brought us A Christmas Story, Porky's, and Baby Geniuses. I know, it's very left field from this film, and the script was written by Roy Moore. It stars British-Argentinian actress Olivia Hussey, whom you may recognize from Romeo and Juliet or It the TV miniseries. Co-starring faces such as Keir Dullea from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, whose character Peter was originally offered to Malcolm McDowell from A Clockwork Orange, but he turned it down, a decision McDowell regrets to this day when he saw the massive success of this film and its classic horror film status. Margot Kidder, who was Lois Lane in the original Superman films and the original Amityville Horror. And the handsome John Saxon, who played Donald Thompson in the Elm Street franchise and Roper in Enter the Dragon. I love me some John Saxon. He really has that old school Western charm type of cowboy aura to him. Rest in peace, rest in peace. The original title for Black Christmas was named Stop Me, but director Bob Clark said that he liked the irony of something dark occurring during such a festive holiday. That, in addition to the tongue-in-cheek reference to the Christmas song and 1954 film White Christmas. Upon first release in the US, the film's title was changed to Silent Night, Evil Night, because the American distributor feared the title Black Christmas might cause the film to be mistaken for a blaxploitation flick. Well, however, the film didn't do well under the new title and it was changed back to the original Black Christmas title, under which it was a success. Shot in just 40 days, the film holds the honor of being the first seasonal slasher film in horror movie history, and would later be followed by Halloween from 1978, as well as Friday the 13th, Prom Night, Mother's Day, all coming out in 1980, Graduation Day, My Bloody Valentine, those two came out in 1981. Then we had Silent Night, Deadly Night in 1984, which is another Christmas horror movie, and April Fool's Day in 1986. I would say the story is quite contained, taking place mainly in a sorority house, where we follow a group of sorority sisters who receive these repetitive, threatening phone calls, and are eventually stalked and wiped out by a killer during the Christmas season. Most horror fans are aware that inspiration for Black Christmas is based upon the urban legend, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs. But it was also inspired alongside a series of homicides that took place in the Westmount neighborhood of Montreal. The film was shot during summer in Toronto on an estimated budget of $620,000, or $3.8 million in today's economy. It was distributed by Warner Bros., and the film ended up grossing $4,053,000 worldwide, or $25 million in 2024. The film had a lot of mixed reviews, but as we so know, the more the clock turns, the more the children start catching up. If you know almost nothing about horror, then you won't know that Black Christmas was one of the first slashers, coming out 4 years before, as well as influencing John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween. There's been a lot of back and forth over if Jess, the protagonist in Black Christmas, was the first final girl, or if it was Sally from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, funny enough, came out 1 month before this film. Then you got the people who go back 14 years to 1960 when Psycho and Peeping Tom came out, in the same year and again, 1 month apart. That's crazy, right? I'm not here to say anybody is wrong, but technically, Peeping Tom was the first slasher. And technically, Sally was the first final girl in regards of how we look at that archetype now. I just feel like we need to stop with this
Halloween did both of those. Halloween did both of those.
Okay, no. I could probably open up Twitter, open up Reddit right now and see somebody defending Halloween like, no, it did it first. Halloween was not the first slasher, nor was it the first to have a final girl. But Halloween did open the floodgate. It completely set off a chain and golden age of the slasher film. I'll give it that. Then you got the original Texas Chainsaw is technically exploitation horror, trying to separate it from Black Christmas basically. And stop, cut the shit. Masked killer, body count, girl fights her way out and escapes. What are we confused about? But anywho, I digress. Let's get back to Black Christmas. NBC scheduled the film for its primetime network debut on January 28, 1978, under the title Stranger in the House. On January 15, 1978, 2 female students at Florida State University were unalived by an assailant who broke into the sorority house where they lived. 3 young women in the immediate vicinity were attacked and assaulted. NBC received numerous pleas from locals to pull the movie from broadcast in light of the crimes, and after stating that they would offer the local affiliates an alternative movie to broadcast, they decided to just pull the plug on the movie altogether. Instead, the film Doc Savage, Man of Bronze was shown. NBC instead ran Stranger in the House as a late movie on May 14th the same year. The perpetrator of the crimes at Florida State University was later identified as the most popular serial killer of all time, Ted Bundy. There are 2 Black Christmas remakes, one from 2006 and the other from 2019. I'm gonna keep it real, have not watched them, but I basically know what happens. I've seen reviews, breakdowns. It's unnecessary for me to watch them. The 2006 one is pretty nasty. Like it really pumps up the grotesque factor, especially with Billy and his backstory, but also casting Michelle Trachtenberg and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I mean, come on, a serve. Then we get to 2019 and no one asked for, not a soul asked for this head-ass social justice warrior bullshit, but it was given anyway, right? I think films should always say something, but do not, and I'm gonna say it again, and I'm gonna say it one last time. Do not throw the goddamn message in my face every 10 minutes, okay? Don't do that. I don't like that. I don't want to hear all that scooter-doo, bop, 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 no, turn it off. You can watch the original 1974 classic on any of these streaming platforms right here. You know the drill. I always condone you watch the films I talk about first to get your own opinion. But if you'd rather have my breakdown and save yourself 2 hours of your life, that's cool. That's cool, baby. That's cool. I rewatch these films so you don't have to. You just get the good parts and the nostalgia. So, let's break down this plot. The film opens on a shot of our Canadian sorority house, and a figure is seen walking by, up the pathway and into the house. Cut to a POV shot from a heavy-breathing man who starts inching closer to the building, and this is the audience's first signal that we've got a stalker on our hands. This POV shot is pretty much the very famous, very innovative camera style that Bob Clark implemented into, looking through the eyes of the antagonist. It doesn't seem that impressive in a 2024 lens because, even movies outside of the horror genre have done the POV shot. But look, Peeping Tom from 1960, aka the first slasher movie, was the first to do it. But Halloween popularized it. This is my first time noticing that the house's number was 6. I don't know how the numbering address system works in Canada with neighborhoods and houses, but I think we all know the superstition with the number 6. Maybe I'm just reading into that. Whoever we watched come in the house obviously has no home training because they left the damn door open, and one of our leads, Barb, has to close it. The stalker didn't walk in the house though. He finds another way. He sees this fire escape fixture attached to the house and climbs his way inside. And our first telephone rings.
Hello? Pardon? Who?
And yeah, let's get this out the way. There's a lot of ringing telephones in this movie. I lost count. I couldn't keep count. You know, if you took a shot every time a phone rang, you would be in the hospital for alcohol poisoning. Yeah, AT&T was doing well that night. That's all I know. You know. The first call of the film is for Barb, who by the looks of it has been sipping on some scissor. Barbara has a drinking problem. The call is from her mother, and their conversation is intercut with the stalker moving along the house. Downstairs, we hear a woman holler for everyone with a penis to leave. Boo. The phone rings a second time, and this time, Jess answers, but there's silence. She yells out for the girls to be quiet because it's
The Mona!
again. And that's when the sisters crowd around the phone as the voice on the other end starts making garbled, demonic moaning sounds. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm not going to repeat what he's saying, nor will I fully play it, but I'll give you a little taste, and I'll put the subtitles in so you can fill in the blanks. The audio for the demented phone calls from the stalker was edited into the film during post-production, and while shooting the footage for the phone call scenes, the actresses were actually just reacting to threatening dialogue being spoken from the director Bob Clark off camera. This has clearly been going on because, you know, when she answers the phone and she hears the breathing, she's like, "It's the motor." I have a name for him, but it's not, the audience isn't really told how long this has been going on. It could have been through the night. It could have been over the past few days. It could have been weeks. I don't know. Bro starts snorting like a pig.
Let me lick it. Lick it. Let me lick your pretty piggy.
Not bad.
Suck my juicy.
Upon watching this again, I don't know if I said it already, I've seen this movie before a few times. But yeah, when I was watching it again, I am always bamboozled at this scene because I'm like, why are we listening to this nonsense? Hang the phone up. But then the other side of me is like, I low-key want to see like how far he takes the Barb grabs the phone saying, "Listen, you pervert, why don't you go over to Lambda Chai? They could use a little bit of this." I guess they got beef with another sorority. The creep says more degrading hoopla. I don't need to break down every word because it's quite repetitive. But the scariest part of this phone call is his last line right before he hangs up.
I'll stick my tongue up your pretty.
You f***ing creep!
I'm going to kill you.
Oh, you going what? Oh, you go, okay, let me know. These women are tripping. I would have went right into that kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife I could have found. Yeah. It's just something about this guy making all those, you know, hefty, gurgling, childish sounds, just snorting, being perverted, like whatever, you're trolling at this point. But to turn it off like a switch in a voice so calm, so direct, and so solemn, that is very terrifying. One of the sisters, Claire, tells Barb that she shouldn't provoke stuff like that. But Barb is like, yeah, I'm from the city. I get 2 of those calls a day. Calm down, sponge cake. And here we have it is the most controversial line of dialogue in this entire movie. I know we thought the phone call was bad. No, what she says is, it's Claire reminds the house about a girl that was SA'd a few weeks ago, and Barbara says,
Darling, You can't a townie.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out!
Now, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Did we need to put this in the script? Absolutely not. I'm looking at you, Roy. Yeah. Don't hide behind, what you hiding behind her for? I didn't laugh. I didn't chuckle. Like my humor can be quite dark and very offensive. But that being said, there's a line you don't really cross. There has never been, and there never will be, anything funny about rape. Period. Sorry. So Claire and Barb have a minor back and forth before Claire dismisses herself to go upstairs and pack. Jess tries to stop her, but it's unsuccessful. She's already made her mind up.
Hasn't she had enough trouble fitting in here without you getting at her all the time?
Come on, I know a professional version when I see one.
Miss Barbie, you are making it very hard to root for you, shawty. You're making it real hard. The house mother, Miss Mac, starts banging on the side door, coming back from shopping for the girls. Fun fact, the role of Miss Mac was offered to Betty Davis, who turned it down, and she would later work with Olivia Hussey, aka Jess, on Death on the Nile from 1978, though reportedly, they did not get along while filming. Upstairs, Claire is talking to a kitty named Claude, who Miss Mac has been looking for days, before grabbing a stack of clothes out of her closet. And that's when we see, just barely, the shape and skin tone of our stalker sitting behind a plastic cover.
Who is it?
Tell me how I'm supposed to breathe with no air.
We see the stalker's shadow just up the stairs, carrying Claire's body to the attic. Our controversial little Barb appears to not be the only woman in the crib with a drinking problem. Miss Mac has a bottle of street sherry hidden inside of a book on a bookshelf behind a glass case. I always thought this was whiskey because of the shape of the glass and the dark color, but no, this is a dry wine. Jess's punk-ass boyfriend Peter calls. He says he couldn't make the party due to his rigorous piano practicing. You know, he's just a professional, you know. I have to take my craft very seriously, babe, you know. Jess lets him know she wants to talk to him face to face about something important. So they plan on meeting the next day around 2 p.m.
I love you.
I know. I'll see you tomorrow.
Miss Mac is getting ready for bed, brushing her teeth, and instead of using some crusty tap water from the sink, why not rinse out with our second bottle of sherry? And guess where her second bottle of sherry is hidden? In the f***ing toilet. Briefly going back to the first bottle, I thought to myself, why is she hiding this? Like, you, girl, you grown. You the mother of the house. If you want to have a drink, have a motherfucking drink. But after she sipped from the first bottle, Jess ended up coming back into the room, and Miss Mac thanked her for how good the girls were treating her. So then I thought, okay, maybe they are aware of her addiction, and the girls are kind of looking out for her in a way. Jess goes knocking on Claire's door, calling for her, and we smash cut to Claire in the attic, rocking back and forth in a chair with a plastic bag over her face. The next day outside the university, we see our first set of black people. Wait, come back! There's an elder man in the middle of the street looking lost, and this is Claire's father, Mr. Harrison. Ooh. Not the snotty ass children. I would have took my belt off. A guy runs up to Mr. Harrison, handing him his glasses and apologizing, and Mr. Harrison reveals he's looking for his daughter at Pi Kappa Sig. And what do you know? The long-haired fellow knows where the sorority is. Mr. Harrison is talking to Miss Mac while looking at this poster of somebody's badass grandma who's flipping off the camera. What the hell? Okay. There's some culty 70s hippie booty poster, a flower with a booty hole in the center. Very juvenile, very undemure. Do the kids still say that? I don't know. I don't keep up with them. But yeah, Miss Mac basically says, you know, look, Slim, I don't know where she at, but you know, you can look at the fraternity house. I can show you where it's at, but you gotta give me a ride. So she goes upstairs to pack a small bag. She's mocking the feller in the mirror, taking a few more swigs of sherry.
I'm supposed to be responsible for the morals of every girl in this goddamn house. I do my best. I don't know what the bastards expect of me.
Yikes. Yes, you should, girl. You're the house mother. She starts hearing Claude meowing somewhere in the house, but nothing comes of it, and Mr. Harrison collects her. At the conservatory, Jess tells Peter she's pregnant, and while he's ecstatic and thinks it's fantastic, she does note she wants an abortion. Gotta say, this is very taboo. Remember, Roe vs. Wade was just the winner before in 1973. This motherfucker Peter has the nerve to tell Jess, you can't make a decision like that without asking me first.
I don't give a damn!
Huh? Oh, my bad. I didn't know the fucking baby was growing inside of your uterus. And what makes this all 10 times funnier is the fact that she wasn't even going to tell him about this.
Don't you ever consider anyone but yourself?
He is so fed up with her, so unbelievably disgusted with her. He dismisses her, Tombow. You know how important tonight is to me. Why don't you just get out of here? Go. I do not want my channel to be political in any manner. It's not the type of boy that I am, you know. I try to be a little bit civil with people that I come across, you know, people that I cross paths with. I try to, and I've got friends, you know, I've got friends with different political beliefs than me, and we get along, you know, we do, because I don't let it get to me, you know. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's be serious. The world is just too big and too vast for everybody to share the same opinion, right? Part of the human experience is learning and trying to understand people of all walks of life. We can have different opinions and beliefs, be that religion, music, social issues, values, anatomy, whatever, right? But the point is, regardless of what you believe, we all need to be respectful. And if you can't respect each other, move along. Move along, babes. Therefore, going into respect, I don't believe it's anybody's role or anybody's right to tell another what to do with their body. And I damn sure don't think a man should be telling a woman what to do with her body, because we have no idea how that feels, right? Respect. That's all it is. It's respect. That's what happened to respect? What happened to respect? This pregnancy plotline is the root of Jess's character. It's the brightest element for this film, being extremely feminist. She tells Peter she's not changing her mind, but all he says is, "We'll see." Later on, Mr. Harrison is on the phone with his wife, updating her about their missing child, while Barb is just casually giving a child alcohol. Bro, what is wrong with this woman? Yet another phone rings, and Jess answers. It's the moaner again, and he's in schizo mode, talking in the perspective of multiple people. He says the name Billy for the first time, which we come to find out is his name. Mr. Harrison, Phil, and Barb all go to the police station to file a missing person report, and just as you would suspect, the cops do not take it seriously. They just brush Claire's absence off as her running away with a boyfriend. The front desk cop's name is Nash, and he asks for the sorority's house phone number. And Barb says,
Fellatio 20880.
How do you spell it?
Capital F E little L Latio.
Jess goes to a hockey rink to ask Claire's boyfriend, Chris, who's the goalie and wearing a very strange mask. The 70s had some odd hockey masks. Odd, very odd, very odd. She asks Chris if he's aware of Claire's disappearance. He's not. Peter has his very important audition that, he practiced 4 days in a row for.
Yes! That was so good! She killed it! Woo!
In a police station, a woman is giving a report about her missing 13-year-old daughter, and when the camera circles around to who she's talking to, we see the legend John Saxon. Chris and Jess bust through the station. Chris starts calling everyone by their first name. He's pissed off about Nash not taking Claire's absence seriously. And that's when John Saxon's character, Lieutenant Ken Fuller, recognizes Chris and tells him to step in his office. Daddy just gotta fix everything, huh? After a drunken tirade about the species of sea turtles that can screw for 3 days straight, Barb comes back to the ground and says what everybody in the house is thinking.
You think it's my fault, don't you? That's what you're all thinking. Why don't you just come right out and say it? You think that I drove her away?
She curses at Miss Mac and then goes upstairs to go to bed. Jess and Chris arrive back at the house, and in an inaudible scene, they collect Mr. Harrison and Phil to head out. Jess got the Freddy Krueger collection from JCPenney on. Me too. And before they go, Miss Mac tells Phil she may not be at the house when they come back because she'll be at her sister's. Lieutenant Fuller is making a speech in the park to members of the town who are about to go on a widespread hunt for 13-year-old Janice. Meanwhile, Chris is just rubbing all up on Jess's shoulder to keep her warm. Back at the house, one of the detectives is standing outside watching the house. Claude the cat is sitting over top Claire's body, just tasting the flavor of catnip on the plastic. Yum! And Miss Mac hears him meow. She follows the meowing sound, even though her taxi is outside. But they can wait. She just really wants to play with her puppy. She sticks her head up into the attic, and in the back, Billy's hands are high above on a hook. Miss Mac spots something. Claire's body. Oh, what the fuck? She turns around, catching sight of Billy, who drops the hook that swings down and connects with her face, dragging her body up. The taxi man comes knocking on the door, but no answer, so he leaves. And for whatever reason, this triggers Billy to start tweaking out and throwing stuff around. Okay. One of the town searchers begins screaming at the top of her lungs, so we know what that means. Mrs. Quave comes running out the cop car next to Mr. Harrison, and from the look on her face, we now know Janice's body has been found. Jess arrives back home just in time to pick up the ringing phone because, she's the main character, I guess, whatever. And Billy's back on the bullshit. He starts gurgle crying and then yelling.
Oh, God. What do you want? Why are you doing this? Filthy Billy! I know what you did, Billy! Filthy Billy! Stop this!
She's had enough, so she hangs the phone up and starts calling out for Miss Mac. She picks the phone back up to start dialing, and behind her, a shadow inches near. But it's just Peter. And why is he up in my crib? Yeah, I want to know too. He says he was upstairs having a little nappy waiting for her. Jess apologizes for her tardiness, excusing the search party. Baby, you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. The cop she gets on the phone with is Nash. Nash tells Jess it's probably just someone's boyfriend doing prank calls to the house. Look, we're very busy and they're currently searching for a missing person, so, tough shit. Even though they found the girl's body. Peter asks Jess what's wrong, and she's like, oh, nothing. A little girl was found sliced and diced in the park, and my sorority sister is missing. Nothing serious. Why? You want me to fix you a sandwich? He tells her that he's decided to leave the conservatory. He's gonna leave the conservatory, and they're going to get married. What's funny is that he's expecting her to just smile and tears of joy, throw her arms around him. But instead, Jess very calmly, very rationally reminds Peter of when they first got together and how Peter vented how much he wanted to be a concert pianist. Well, okay, so you have your dreams and I have my dreams, and I'm still working on my dreams. So how dare you just ask me to drop everything I've planned and give up all my ambitions because your plans have changed?
Be realistic. I can't marry you.
He tells her, you can still do what you want to do. That's fine. So Jess has to spell it out for him again, and the scene ends with him saying,
All right. What about the baby?
"What about it?" Mr. Harrison went back to Lieutenant Fuller to let him know the address he heard Nash speaking over the phone was the address of the sorority. So Daddy Ken has to check everyone again. His buddy is geeking out over this too. Why does he look like Jake Gyllenhaal from far away? Ken calls Nash in the room and asks him to read what's on the paper.
Felicia? Yeah, Felicia. One of the girls that was in this afternoon gave it to me.
She gave it to you.
Yeah.
Who the hell hired this man? Peter's got rage in his eyes as he crushes an ornament, calling Jess a selfish bitch for wanting to abort a baby as if she was having a wart removed. Girl, unfold those arms and grab a weapon because the spirits are telling me he's about to swing. It's so crazy how he's making all of this about him.
Let's get one thing straight. You are not going to abort that baby.
Peter, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do.
Period, Pete! Period!
Jess, if you try getting an abortion,
I think you better leave.
if you try getting an
I said
abortion,
get out.
you're going to be very sorry.
Jess screams at him to get out, and what an interesting choice to zoom in on Ken observing after Peter storms out. He's putting the pieces together. The girls sign off on a permission slip to have their house phones tapped before giving Lieutenant a tour of all the rooms. Inside Claire's room, he asks questions about who she is, who she knows, etc. And after it's done, he tells the girls he's got one of their detectives outside in a black sedan watching the house. The operator also lets Jess know that she's gonna have to get the stalker to stay online for as long as possible as the tracing takes a while. When the cops leave, we see Peter hiding behind a tree. Meanwhile, Phil is having a mental breakdown. She's like, "Claire's dead. I can feel it. Oh God." Her meds got her hormones acting up, so she decides it's time to go upstairs and go to bed. Oh, wait, no, don't do that. The killer is rocking Claire in her chair with this musty baby doll, talking about fetching a rabbit. I don't know. Anyway, he leaves the attic and enters Barb's room, where a glass unicorn is seen above her bed. Jess hears Barb gasping for air, waking up from her sleep having an asthma attack, so she books up the stairs and grabs her inhaler. Barb says she was having a dream someone was coming into her room, and we get another POV of the stalker at the door, and I know y'all see this man's shadow. Where is the awareness? A bunch of random ass kids start singing "Oh Come Ye Bethlehem" at the front door, even though no one's listening. But Jess is a sweetheart, so she opens the door and tunes into some tunes, giving the whispering killer access to Barbara. Jess, you are such a sweetheart, because if that was me, I would have.
Okay.
There's more dialogue from the stalker, who's whispering things to Barb like, "It's all right, Agnes. It's me, Billy. Pretty Agnes." And he grabs the glass unicorn, raising his hands up. Best shot in the movie right here. Yup. Barb's eyes flick open, and before she's got a chance to scream, Billy starts stabbing her multiple times, while the children are screaming out, "Christ of the Lord." Like, please, this is so... This woman comes up to the children and the other adult, who we definitely didn't even realize was standing with the kids. And she's like, "Hurry up, ho, get these kids in the car, come on." And Miss Jessica pays them for the show and says Merry Christmas. The woman tells Jess that there's been a in the park, but we know this. So then the phones start ringing, and she's like,
Your phone's ringing.
there's now a whining noise and a moaning voice. Then there's a screaming female voice. Y'all know Billy is not fully there, okay? But his last line sends a chill up Jess's spine.
Just like having a wart removed.
Don't tell me this punk ass is out here killing people. Lieutenant Fuller asks Jess more questions about the multiple voices being used over the phone. Then he brings up Peter, asking who he was, but a ruckus carries him off the phone. This old man shot a police officer because he was trespassing on his yard, and a cop announces this to his colleagues, and the old man says,
You goddamn right, I do it again too.
The man shot him in the ass with birdshot, which is a shotgun ammunition that people use to hunt birds. People also use it for small animals like rabbits and squirrels, and each bullet is made up of these like little small pellets. It's not lethal to humans. He lets the cop know the next time he trespasses, he gonna get the gun up his ass, sideways, like Grandpa is gangsta. Jess wakes up Phil to let her know what's going on, and she's yapping about being scared. Peter calls the house again, asking her to help me. You can't kill the baby. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And right when Jess tries to get an answer out of him, like where, because at this point, we're all thinking that it's him. She asks him, "Where are you?" And he hangs up. The phone rings for the 30th time, but this time it's Lieutenant Ken. They forgot the phones was tapped, so Kenny heard the whole conversation, and he's like, what is this about killing the baby? He pretty much thinks that she's hiding something, so he asks her if Peter was there with her when she was answering all the phone calls through the night, and she lies. Why? It's above me. She puts on a performance saying, yes, he was there. Phyllis, wasn't he there at the party? Oh yes, it couldn't have been him. When Jess hangs up, Phyllis is like, oh, I knew it couldn't be Peter, but I am confusion because he was not there. Remember, he had called her and, apologized for, I'm working on my trash ass piano playing. A few minutes go by and Phyllis starts screaming at the sight of an elder man peeking through their window. These two country bumpkins tell the girls that they're helping the cops find the killer. Yeah, okay, nephew, get your ass on.
I'd rather face the killer.
Oh, don't worry. You will. Before the scene ends, Jess points out that the side door that they're at and the window is the only in the house that's locked. So this entire time, you had my house unlocked. What the fuck is wrong with you? Lieutenant Daddy goes to the conservatory hall looking for Peter, but it's empty. The girls start putting the house on lockdown when, as I said, they should have did this, a whole 24 hours ago. And Jess once again gets another phone call. I'm sick of this fucking phone ringing. I'm sick of this damn phone ringing. Unplug it. She starts calling out for Phyllis and there's a no response. Get a knife. Here. Hold on. 9 inches. It'll do you good. Here, hold on. Take this. Right here, mama. Yup.
Where's the baby? Where's the baby?
Lieutenant is analyzing the pole stick that Peter had smashed into his piano earlier after being distressed about his audition when another cop comes in and lets him know that the stalker is on the phone again. The operator is running around trying to connect to the line and he finally gets a trace. The operator reports to Nash, Nash reports to the lieutenant, and the lieutenant tries to report to Jennings, who is the cop who's sitting outside the sorority house. But guess what? Lieutenant tells Nash to call Jess and tell her to put the phone down and walk straight out of the door. He'll be there in 5 minutes. Jess is still calling, no, not even calling, she's screaming out for Phil, but no answer. The phone starts ringing again, still no weapon in her hand. Where did you put the knife? I gave you the knife, where'd you put it? Pissing me off. Nash finally does something right and tells Jess what she should have known this entire runtime.
Yes, the caller is in the house. The calls are coming from the house.
I want everybody to just pause for a second. Just pause for a second. Comment down below what you would do right here in this scenario. Would you stand here frozen in fear? Would you drop the phone and skirt out the house? Or would you grab a weapon and play Final Girl? Comment down, but let's see. Because what Jess does is keep her hand on the doorknob and she's just, please, Phyllis, answer me, please. Barbara, please.
Barbara, please. Please, Barbara.
Phil! Bob, please answer me! Please answer me!
And then finally, just wow. The last 15 minutes of the movie, she grabs a weapon, looking too frightened to know what to do with it. You know, I get it. This is a very nerve-wracking scenario, right? But channel that anger that you've got for Peter and put it into this, you know? Just put it into that. You got this. Jess goes upstairs to investigate, heading straight for Barb's door first. But it's locked. So she kicks it in and we see Phyllis and Barb giving top model slasher victim realness. Jess looks over to her left and she sees Billy's eye peeking out from behind the door, whispering, "Don't tell them what we did, Agnes." I don't know if this was intentional, but I find it cool that there is an eye within his eye. You see that little reddish outline. It's like he's possessed, which would explain the multiple noises and sounds that have been coming out of his throat. She slams the door back. Personally, I would have jammed the stick, through the door into his eye, but that's just me. Billy starts screaming and she goes flying down them steps, but the front door won't open. Oh, and he's coming down, so we have a problem. He snatches her by their hair and she screams out, stumbling back, but she gets up and she runs into the cellar, locking the door. Billy is going bananas, and when I say bananas, I mean B-A-N-A-N. Yeah, he's trying to break down this door. Like, this is scary. This is scary. Then it goes quiet, and we hear his footsteps walk away and a door close. Jess goes deeper into the basement, eventually catching a figure walking about the glass windows ominously. She follows it to the back, and the figure goes to the end door, calling her name. After scraping the frost off the window, Peter reveals his face, then kicks the glass open. We are really toying with the possibility of, is this or is this not Peter? Because if it's not, how did he know she was in the basement? Are Billy and Peter working together? Jess reveals herself as Peter inches closer, and the cops pull up to the sorority house, just as Jess's screams are heard off screen. Don't know how they heard her screams in a basement under a house of this caliber, but go figure. The blue men break into the basement and find Jess sitting down with her head back, slumped with Peter in her lap, unalived. Jess's body is now in full recovery mode, so she's just passed out and the boys are gonna have to wait it out to hear from her. Then Mr. Harrison goes in shock. Poor baby. So believing that Peter was the killer, the police cut off the house lights. The camera tracks down the hall, viewing every single room it passes. The attic hatch opens and we can hear Billy's voice whispering. The final shot backs away from Claire's condom-wrapped head before freeze framing, and the telephone begins ringing again. I don't typically find myself in favor of slow burn horror, but there are exceptions to this with films like The Neon Demon, Possession, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, It Follows, or Hereditary. Black Christmas is very slow burning. Every year around Christmas, it always comes creeping in the back of my mind. How strange. The lack of identifying who Billy is and the lack of motivation really kicks the unsettling factor off for this film. And as much as I love a motive, I won't lie to you, I can appreciate the lack thereof just as well. It really is true that we humans fear what we do not know and what we do not understand. The whole concept slash idea of a man just walking about and randomly picking a house to torture or go on an unaliving spree is wild, to say the least. I do wish Claire had an extra scene or two that really could have shown more of her character and given us extra time with her, and I only say that because a majority of this plot revolves around everybody looking for her. Barb is another one. As f***ed up as her actions and words are, we could have dug a little deeper into why she is the way she is. Miss Mac too. Why does she have a drinking problem? Did her husband leave her? Did he pass away? Are there family issues? Is there depression? I know that hard doesn't really, or should I say it didn't really back in the day like to delve into arcs, but I appreciate the art of the balance. It definitely would have benefited from that because, as I said earlier, this is mainly a female cast and this movie is quite feminist. Down to the fact that women didn't have much agency and autonomy with representation in the leading roles that were given to them. The decor around the house that show how all these women are sexually liberated.
These broads have the leaning tower of Pisa if they can get up there.
The perverted phone calls that can be mirrored to girls who receive DMs from creeps and anonymous men in today's world. Jess's plotline with her standing up against her boyfriend and refusing to give birth to a child she doesn't want. And the way that this film, while being hard, doesn't condone sex, nor does it punish anyone for it. There are no scenes of such in this runtime, but it's implied. I mean, our protagonist is literally pregnant. She, a strict rule that Bob Clark had set for himself when it came to writing the female characters was to never objectify them sexually or give them nude scenes. He wanted the college girls to come off as real people and not disposable hard characters waiting to die. There's more aspects of this movie that you can pick out pertaining to violence against women. There are quite a few on YouTube who tackle that, and I'm not going to sit here and echo that, so you can check those out if you want. I will never be able to put myself in the POV of a woman, and know how it feels to constantly have a target on your back in terms of sexual aggression, but I can only imagine, right? Like, what the hell what's wrong with y'all? I'm talking to the boys now. Not all of y'all, but a lot of y'all, like, we have to tighten up. But outside of the catcalling, just getting a type of phone call like that in the comfort of your home at nighttime, that can creep anybody out. I grew up in the country with my dad, and he had built the house that we had lived in. And it's not huge. There are, 2 levels. There's the top one and then the basement. But every corner you turn, there's a mirror. My sister worked often, and my dad was a very big hunter, so a lot of my teenage years were spent in that house by myself. And it was a little bit scary. And on top of that, my bedroom door did not have a lock on it. Like, I was the only one who didn't have a lock on my door. Like, I could have been taken out. I moved in with my dad when I was 10, and I left when I was 19. In that entire damn near decade, he never put a lock on the door. But y'all know me, I stay ready. I remember I had a knife in the top drawer in the nightstand. And if I couldn't, reach over to it in time, I'm gonna use these hands that God gave me. Little two-piece combo, word. But yeah, I think Black Christmas is great. It's still effective. It's very creepy. Billy is an enigma.
What did you call me?
The childish, rambling phone calls that turn into these violent outbursts that hint at several mental illnesses, but it doesn't fully give you an answer, which makes it even more unsettling. Bob Clark said the original script for the film featured kill scenes that were way more graphic. However, he felt it would be more effective if the executions were toned down and kept subtle on screen. And I think this fits well. Whether you believe Jess was taken out by Billy or not in the end is totally up to you. I don't know. I think it can go either way if I'm keeping it real. It's not looking too good for her. After seeing the ending of the film, studio executives asked director Bob Clark to change the ending. The proposed idea was to have the cops leave Jess alone with Chris, Claire's boyfriend. She was supposed to wake up and Chris was supposed to look at her and say, "Agnes, don't tell them what we did," and then execute her. But Clark refused and he kept his original ending, which I'm glad because Chris is shown to be with the police throughout the events of the film, and that twist would have been a massive, like, what? Head scratch, plot hole. Yeah, no. But I think this really excels in creating that oppressive sense of dread without relying heavily on gore. The deaths are very restrained, shown indirectly or through aftermath shots. And I typically hate aftermath shots, but for this movie, it works. The driving focus is on atmosphere, dimly lit hallways, claustrophobic interiors, and the growing sense of anxiety and paranoia among the characters. It's good stuff. What's your take on Black Christmas? Do you find Billy terrifying? Would you have stayed in that house? Would you have checked the attic, which nobody wanted to do? Let me know in the comments down below. My Letterboxd and my other socials are down below in the description if you want to check me out outside of YouTube. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you, and give this video a like if you care. I've got plenty of other content you can watch to catch up and spend more time with your homie. I hope all of you are having a very Merry Christmas and spending this precious time with your loved ones. Take care of your mind, take care of your body, and take care of your soul. And I'll see you next year.